Hello and welcome to the Last Mistake podcast, and on this week's show we preview All Together Now 2024 and the latest music from the week that was. But first, hello and you're very welcome back to the Last Mistake podcast with me, Stephen White. And this week I want to preview All Together Now 2024, which is happening August bank holiday weekend, 1st to the 4th in Waterford's Curraghmore estate. And yeah, All Together Now has become one of the premier music festivals in Ireland in what is, we have to admit, quite a packed market with a lot of festivals happening all over the country. And it has kind of made me muse on the whys and the how fors and stuff like that. One, like as a native of Waterford myself, it's great to see a festival happening down there and happening in Waterford and using places like Curraghmore estate for these ends, for great big huge music festivals, because they're kind of perfectly set up for that that idea and for those kind of atmospheres and everything like that. I think one of the big reasons is, and we've spoken about it before a few times, it's about festivals creating an identity. It's not enough to be like, it's a magical time in the woods, get lost in music whilst you dance in the woodlands. That's not enough. Those kind of, it's a magical Marks and Spencer's festivals. Get ready to get lost in the woodlands and all of these things. But you have to deliver. You have to deliver. You have to create something that feels like it's a welcoming place. It's where people will want to go. And the lineup is key to that. And altogether now, the last couple of years has definitely delivered on that. I know they had problems with traffic and things like that coming into the estate. I don't think that's been a problem since, but certainly the first year or second year maybe. But it's definitely kind of come through. And I think, yeah, as festivals go, and as I say, in a packed market, they've really pushed themselves to the forefront into what is, when I talk to people about festivals happening during the summer, that's the one people seem to talk about. That's the one people seem to be like, oh, I can't wait to go to. Not just people who are performing, but people who are actually going. The people who, yes, obviously the artists and people who play that are a huge part of it, but in order to sustain a festival, you need to bring in paying customers. You need to be people to say, yes, I will part with my money, I will come and see this festival, I will stay, I will camp and all of that. And they've certainly done that in these couple of years through just a great reputation and word of mouth. And yeah, a festival that's really come out of the blocks. Another festival like that, like again, about talking about places that have a kind of distinct personality. Another, Love Story is another, where it's a very defined personality to the festival. Longitude is another, Forbidden Fruit, that really feel like they have one. Electric Picnic is a huge monster. You know what I mean? To me, it's almost become like a holiday resort in ways. It doesn't really matter at the moment what the lineup is, because they sell out before it's even announced. So it kind of got that Glastonbury thing going for, in a lot of ways. Even though people are very much interested and do want to see great bands, it has a kind of a feeling that maybe it's grown beyond that. Where All Together Now seems very much like it's still geared towards the music in so many ways. And this year the headliners will be Georgia Smith, The National and The Prodigy. Will all be headlining over the weekend. And obviously there are more acts happening all over the stages. And I thought I'd bring to you some of the Irish acts that are performing and talk a little bit about them. So hopefully you can go and catch them if you want, or I'm not your boss. You can do whatever you want. You can go and see and enjoy a festival in any way you see fit. But here are some acts that you might want to check out. Oxen, we're going to start off with, who are an amazing band. It's Katie Kim, Ratty Pete, Eleanor Myler and Spud Murphy. And they combined on an amazing album last year, Siren. And this is kind of dark gothic folk kind of sound, which would just be absolutely perfect, I think, in the surrounds of Waterford. Katie Kim, a native of Waterford as well, and in that area, and just kind of just a brilliant kind of thing. And it's great to see this music being embraced so much. And in recent years, it might have been pushed out to the periphery. There mightn't have even been. This is a good point. There might, as he says to himself, this might have been a space for that before, or even festivals that would have really kind of invited that in and put it at the forefront. But Oxen, yeah, are definitely one of those bands that you should check out. And yeah, Ratty P, Katie Kim, Eleanor Myler, and Spud Murphy. What a great band! What a great album as well. I know they played at Vicar Street to much acclaim last year as well. So do check them out. They're an amazing band. Next up with the Murder Capital. Absolutely great band. You don't need to tell you too much about them. Obviously touring Gigi's Recovery, their most recent album, which was a great and dark and powerful album by them, and a departure too. You know, another band that seemed to be moving away from the kind of post-punk label and into something new kind of territory. They're actually touring recently with Pearl Jam and supporting an opening for them. So that's an amazing experience for them. It'd be interesting to see how their performances have changed on the basis of that. You know, when you're kind of around what you could call master craftsmen in Pearl Jam, one of the biggest bands of all time, it'd be interesting to see how the band themselves have evolved and grown from that experience. I'm sure it has seeped into them a little bit, even in terms of performance or just being around such mature and musicians who've pretty much done it all. Murder Capital, always a great band to see live. Almost always so much energy from the lads, and yeah, just a great band. Producing great music. Interesting to see what they come up with in the future. But yeah, do check them out over the weekend. Sprints are next. One of the bands of the moment, Sprints, their album Letter to Self, their debut album, a seminal record this year and has been absolutely powerful. Another band that, you know, are just so great to see live. I know the great Glenn Bollard, who's one of the premier music photographers in Ireland at the moment. You know, he's just recently done a shoot, the Thumper gig in the Workman's Club, and he has this great ability to kind of get in amongst it, get in the thick of it, and really capture bands at their best. And his work with Sprints, who I'm talking about, who the band you should go see. Talk about Glenn. Hi, Glenn. I think they're a great band, and he captures the feeling of their gigs. So if you've never seen them live before, maybe check that out and see. But they're a great band, and really, you know, they are one of the bands at the moment, but a band that have really worked on it. You know, I've seen them in the very, very early days. Playing to half no one in, I believe, was it Whelan's or something like that. But yeah, a great band that have absolutely grafted and very deserving of the place they're in as well. So yeah, do go out and see them as well. Going to kick off as well with Morgana. Morgana is into her solo era, to use the parlance of the day. From Saint Sister, Morgana has recently released a single, a duet with Circa Richardson. And just a great musician, great artist. I'm very interested to see what her own music is, what her own sound is, where she's going with it. Because it all seems very positive. It all seems great. A great artist, a great singer. Her work with Saint Sister was absolutely beautiful. So see what the differences are, what the kind of the strengths are in that. But yeah, a great artist that you should definitely check out, because yeah, it's an artist starting out on a solo run, and always good to see and support that kind of stuff. Also up with Soda Blonde, and yeah, their album as well was absolute ringer last year. Dream Big, nominated for a Choice Prize. They were amazing at the Choice Music Prize as well when their performance, because they're such a great band, and they did a song for Dresden. Kind of, you know, with kind of allusions to Palestine as well, and yeah, such a great band live, such great performers. Faye is one of those performers that really draws you in. I like a lot of these bands, like they have like a central focal point, and just mesmerizing to watch. I remember watching it with my partner Arlene, and she was kind of who's a dancer, who's a performance artist, who was really captivated by her performance, and it's easy to see why, because she's so expressionistic in her performance. Also playing over the weekend, New Dad, firm favourites here at the Last Mixtape Podcast. I love this band. Their album Madra is definitely one of the albums of the year, and yeah, part of that whole huge dream pop scene happening in Ireland at the moment. Well worth your time to go see these guys, because yeah, they're a band that take that dream pop sound and really bring it into places where, one, it's, you know, a lot of times when you go see a dream pop band, you're like, I cannot hear the vocalist. But they deliver on that. You can hear them. Each part has its place. Each member of the band is in and locked into the whole sound. And yeah, such a great band. And yeah, I definitely check these out. These again, like if you're somebody who's going to the weekends and maybe you don't go see these bands normally. Maybe you want to go see the big bands. Obviously, that's you know that's cool too, because some of those bigger bands, they rarely come around, but it's a long weekend, so hopefully you get a chance to catch some of these Irish acts as well, because they're really, really great. Chalk are up next, and they're a fast-rising post-punk band that have really captured the imagination with a run of really powerful, hard-hitting singles. Another one that I'd be very interested to see live. Does it match what they do, or do they do the thing where they all just stand still and nobody move, because we're just so disinterested in the way. I don't know if they do this, but sometimes you see that in a band, you're just like, oh my god, fucking move. But yeah, I'd be interested to see. I think they do, for the sound of them. I think they do move around and get into it and bring the crowd in, because that's what you want with a live gig. You don't want to stand there watching paint dry, and I don't think they'd be like that. So yeah, Chalk, definitely go see them as well. Another fast rising band. Maybe you can be one of those people. I actually saw them at All Together Now 2024 before they were big. I don't know why I went into Dave Fanning there. Number 5. Anyway, Gemma Dunleavy as well. Big shout out to Gemma. She's playing over the weekend as well. Up the Flats is a seminal EP for her. Interesting to see what she comes up with in the coming months and weeks and everything like that, and what kind of new music she comes out with, because she's a seminal artist who is very much indicative of the scene and very much indicative of her environment, and somebody who it just has an amazing artistry to her, and an amazing artistry to the music that she creates, because it seems very of the self, of herself and through herself as well. And she's just a powerful performer, great voice, great songwriting, great production, all of those things. And yeah, when she puts on a performance, like I've seen her live a couple of times now, it's really pulls at the heartstrings in many different ways. So yeah, great artist. And next up with Shiv, another great R&B artist who I've seen multiple times at festivals. I think a lot of the time at Forbidden Fruit. And she is an amazing voice, amazing band with her when she plays as well. Great kind of soulful voice, great performer as well, really kind of gets that meter as well. And yeah, somebody I've seen at a number of occasions, and every time I've been absolutely blown away. So yeah, catch her again. Might be another one where you're like, actually I saw her before everything. I saw. And finally, finishing up with Big Sleep, another firm favourite here at the last mixtape as well. And yeah, just a great indie pop band with great indie pop sensibilities. I've seen them live a couple of times too, and I really enjoyed them. I think they're really great. I think the sound they have is really refreshing, really vivid, and I think they have a really great handle of it, especially in the singles that they've released in the last couple of months and weeks and stuff like that. And just a great band, Big Sleep as well. All happening at All Together Now this summer, and this coming August Bank Holiday weekend. And yeah, definitely go out and check it out. As I say, it's fast rising to be one of the big festivals in Ireland. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with that, the dealing with becoming the big thing. Do you pivot into bigger crowds? Do you keep it as it is? What do you do with that? I don't know. I don't run music festivals. It's very interesting to hear from people who do, or who have that experience, because they become all-encompassing things. What starts off as this kind of, team in it together and everything like that. How do you kind of wrestle that? How do you fight that particular bull? And up to now, they have absolutely smashed it. It looks like this year will be no different. And if you're going down, you're going to be very lucky. Not just because you'll be in Waterford, but you'll have an amazing time. And that's my preview of All Together Now 2024. Please check out those bands. If not, go check out some great music over the weekend, because you'll absolutely enjoy it. But most of all, enjoy yourself. Yes, dear listener, they seek him here, they seek him there, those musos seek him everywhere. Is he in heaven, or is he at the disco? The damned elusive Count of Monte Playlisto. Yes, dear listener, the style and profile and limousine ride, jet flying, playlist making, son of a gun, has once again returned to the shores of Playlistia to deliver you a beautiful bounty of the latest Irish music released this week. In the words of Power Station, with some like it hot, and some sweat when the heat is on, but not the Count, for this is his realm. Let's do this. When am I going to run out of 80s references? I'm not. I'm going to keep doing that. So we're going to kick off this week's playlist picks with Jenna Keating, and That's the Why. A brilliant and beautiful and serene release from Jenna Keating. It's got this beautiful lo-fi beat feel to it, really serene feel, brought to the fore by her vocal, which itself has this kind of hushed, soft, gentle tone to it that just runs right through the music, and it's something that you can instantly vibe with and feel and lock into and just have on, because it's a great single and a great release with those kind of serene pop R&B kind of fusion sounds, bit of bedroom pop in there as well, and it's a great track. I love this. I love the feel of it. I love the vibe of it. I like how vivid it is and how it uses space in throughout the song. So yeah, Jenna Keaton, That's the Why. It's out now and you can check it out on the playlist. Next up we have Julia Maria and Bruised. And beautiful handmade and heartfelt release from Julia Maria. That really just shows off the songwriter, shows off the performance, really pushes those elements to the fore, lets the lyrics speak for themselves. It's the performance kind of bring those lyrics out throughout. It's organic, it's melody led. It really rests on the performance and how she delivers it. And I think it's a beautiful song. It's subtle. It's not reserved, but it has that kind of feel to it, and it would be amazing for people to just take a listen and just really take it in, because it's a beautiful song by Julia Maria, and that is Bruised. It is on the playlist. Next band up, I have difficulty pronouncing the name, I'm not going to lie to you. It's Anmoya. They are a band, and their latest release is Threads, which has this buzzsaw resonant take on the shoegaze dream pop kind of movement. It has this kind of rough, rigid edge to it, sprinkled in with these kind of like beautiful textures of guitar to it as well. It's a great song, and it's very interesting to see all these different takes on the genre and this kind of movement of shoegaze moving back. It's alternative to its predecessors and to its origins. It does build on it while still, encapsulating some of those key characteristics. And I think this is a great song in terms of that. I think they have really hard layers upon layers within the music that I really like. There's some nice contrasts too as well. And yeah, I think it's a great song, and it's a great my first impression of them at the very least. And I thought, this is an interesting take on it, really well performed. And what is great to see is these bands are really finding the power in the music whilst also finding a place for each element to live in, and nothing is getting masked or drowned out or kind of overlooked. But Anmoya, Threads is on the playlist, and you should definitely check it out and check them out. And lads, if I'm pronouncing the name right or wrong, let me know. Next up, we have another kind of gentle track by an artist called Shy, and the song is On a Roof, and it's beautifully set. Really, again, almost like the Julia Maria song, it rests on the performance, it rests on the feel of it and the tone of it and how it rolls and unfurls itself. It's beautifully organic. It has that bedroom pop feel to it. It does feel quite intimate, quite up close, stripped back and stark in its presentation. Really brought to the fore then by a soaring central vocal that itself is just intertwined in the music. And yeah, it just really rests itself nicely. It's another one, almost like the Jenna Keating song rather, at the start. It has this feel to it and vibe to it that you just, ease yourself into, and it really plays into things that I quite like about that, which is the song being strong enough and the performances as well being strong enough to stand up on their own and really kind of draw you in. And yeah, that's definitely the case with Shy and On a Roof, and it's on the playlist now. Check it out. Next up, we have a nice contrast to that actually, because we have Hannah Bella with their brand new single Skin. And yeah, this is kind of into the hyper pop realms of things, which I really like as well. I love that kind of the extremes, and I think this is a song that plays into those extremes. It's very much highly stylized, stylistic approach to it. It's quite lush. Again, it kind of does that thing of swinging for the fences where there are big choruses, big feels to it. There's kind of a lot being thrown at it, whilst also almost like the shoegaze thing. You can get lost in that, and there can be too much, and it'd be too much stylization, too kind of removed from its source. But they find a way throughout the song of keeping a kind of a pointedness to it, keeping control over what's going on, making sure that you can hear the song, hear the performances, hear the hooks when you need to. And that's very hard in that genre of, if you want to call it uber pop, hyper pop, whatever you want to call it. That's very difficult, because you're purposefully juggling a lot of things, but I think this has that stylization and follows it really, really well. It's great to see so many different types and genres of music in Ireland right now that there really does feel like there's a control over and an understanding of, and I think that's a lot to do with how we consume music now. I think the generation that is way younger than me that are coming up with music now have a greater dictionary or a greater catalogue of music to call from than I did growing up, and their understanding of how to do those things and their understanding of how to write and all of that, it really shows, because there's a genre melding throughout that is quite compelling. So yeah, Hannah Bella and Skin, you should check it out. It's their brand new single. Up next, we have Four Faces with Part of You, and this plays into the genre melding thing as well, kind of the indie pop feel to it. It's an ambitious song with kind of big ambitious choruses with kind of really nice dynamic drops in the verses. It really plays with that loud, quiet bang thing, and yeah, I really like it. It plays very nicely into the kind of the ambitious indie pop sound of like, here is the chorus going to be big chorus, here we go. And you got to do that. Like, you know, sometimes playing into expectations when it comes to songwriting or when it comes to how you deliver stuff, it's expected because it's the right thing to do. And it's expected because it feels satisfying to listen to. And I think that really plays into it with Four Faces here and Part of You, because yes, you're expecting the chorus to be big, it is big, and because the verse is quite narrow, and that's quite satisfying to listen to. And I think that's, you know, such a great thing, because yeah, as I say, it'd be easy to kind of subvert the expectation there, but sometimes people want the expectation to be met, and when you're playing in this realm and that kind of ambitious pop or indie pop genre, meeting the expectation or meeting that kind of like setting up the expectation and meeting it is so important. So yeah, Four Faces and Part of You is part of TLMT's Spotify playlist. Check it out. And finally, we go to a regular almost now on the Last Mixtape podcast and of the Count of Monte playlist, those picks. We have Orla Gartland with The Hit, and this is taken from her newly announced brand new album, Everybody Needs a Hero. Track is The Hit, and this is kind of different again. We're getting different kind of versions and ideas and shades of this album. It does seem like quite an eclectic record just based on the singles we've listened to so far. We've been unveiled. This is kind of more of a scratching, rumbling, almost folk pop effort that does have those elements of pop when, again, almost like the Four Faces things, when it comes into the choruses, it does deliver, it does play into that. It is quite lush again, but I think Orla Gartland's songwriting lends itself to that. It's quite emotive, it's quite raw, but at the same time, it has kind of an element to it where there's an intimacy within the power of it, and it is that kind of power folk pop, if you want to call it that. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this sits in with the rest of the album, because as I say, there does seem to be different kind of elements weaved into it. But she, much like we were talking about sprints for the All Together Now thing, Orla Gartland is very much an artist of her own making, and somebody who has really kind of worked to get to where she is and has set everything up so brilliantly and beautifully. And I think it's interesting to see where this album will lie, because it will definitely be one we'll review here on the podcast. But I think she is, in a way, she's like one of Ireland's great songwriters that I don't think we talk enough about sometimes in those realms, maybe. I mean, could we accuse ourselves of that? I don't know. But I think she's great. I think this is a great song as well. I'm so interested to hear how this sits in with the rest of her work. But I think if you're an Orla Gartland fan, you're already listening to this. But yeah, that's on the playlist. Check it out. That is all from the Count of Monte playlisto this week. You can check out TLMT's Irish Mixtape on Spotify. Check out all of these songs in their elements, all curated by the Count of Monte playlisto. We will return next week with a whole fresh batch of picks for you to listen to. But for now, I'm going to hand it back to Steve in the studio. Yes, dear listener, before we go for this week's podcast, some gigs that are happening around Dublin and around Ireland indeed this week. Obviously, All Together Now will be taking place next weekend, next bank holiday weekend as well, in Waterford in Curraghmore Estate. But also we have Waxahachie, who will be playing Vicar Street on August 4th, and also Amy, the pop artist who will be playing the Academy's Green Room on Sunday, August 4th. So there are some gigs and stuff like that happening around. But of course, as always, go check out live music wherever and whenever it is playing, if that's what you want to do. And so it goes, and there it went. But before I go, thank you for listening. You can subscribe to Last Mixtape podcast in all the usual places and spaces: Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. If you're watching the video, subscribe, click it, subscribe, do the thing. You could also submit your music or your gigs to me via stephen@thelastmixtape.com with the subject matter TLMT podcast. But for now, this is the Last Mixtape podcast. You're the listener. I was Stephen White. Hey, so long.